That record held now with the camel
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Grand Prix Podcast. I am Elton, this is Andy.
Hello!
And we are here to talk about something Grand Prix related, but not Formula 1 Grand Prix per se that we normally talk about. No, we are two idiots talking about something we know even less about this time round.
You thought we couldn't get any more ignorant. You were wrong. We're here to prove it. No matter how low you think you've done, you can always go lower.
Oh,
that's
definitely.
What we're here to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're trying something a little bit new, a little bit different. You see, we decided, because, everyone seems to be running over to WEC, World Endurance Championship, and since Alonso is doing this and Formula 1,
yep,
and we are both unashamedly massive Alonso fans,
yep.
Let's face it, we figured, you know what, why don't we just have a look at the races where we can do? They're not as easy to watch as maybe Sky is. Actually, it's probably easier, I suppose. It's on
YouTube, isn't it?
Well, if you know where to look, it's on YouTube. But legitimately, it's also on Eurosport, Motors TV, which is on Freeview and stuff like that.
Was it on there? Okay, I've got that.
Yeah. Oh, well, you can watch it legitimately then. For some reason, I can't find it on the Sky Player online. But, that's besides the point. But my point is, it's worth checking out. And so we thought, you know what? Why not? Spa, we love Spa. It's an amazing circuit. Usually still gives us amazing races in Formula 1, which is great. And again, it was just a case of, why don't we just watch it, see what we think? So this is kind of an unfiltered, unstructured brain dump from the Spa 6-hour race.
Yeah.
Which, in all fairness, we should point out, being 6 hours, we didn't watch it all. We have lives.
No.
He has kids.
Yeah. Okay, so how did you view this one? Because, can I first premise, we probably won't be covering all the races in this season / event, but we just wanted to dive in on this one because we just found ourselves both watching it, didn't we? So
yeah, it was kind of on. It was, it was a glorious weather.
Yeah.
It was a great result for Alonso.
Yeah.
And everything. And it was just genuinely interesting to watch, I thought.
Yeah.
Because I've never really watched any of the other WEC races. I usually try and catch Le Mans, again, just as background. But I've never really watched any of the 6-hour ones. And yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Good. Okay, so your setting, how did you watch this? How did you view it?
How did I watch
it?
it? So basically, like I said, I typically watch Formula 1 through the Sky Player. I have a Sky subscription, but I got rid of the box itself because there's fuck all else on it. I literally have it just for Formula 1. But I couldn't find Motors TV on there. They've just changed the player, and it's just all a bit weird. But through some interneting, completely and utterly legitimately, totally legal, 100%.
Honest Gov.
I was able to find a YouTube link.
She was in the club, Gov.
She was in the club, Gov. But yeah, so I basically because I run two screens because my day job is editing and stuff like that. So I just basically flew it up on one screen, and I just had it on all day while I was doing other bits and pieces. And it was a HD feed watching it. I missed the first 20 minutes just trying to find it on Sky normally.
Yep.
And then after that, I was like, fuck it, and just sat back and watched it. So, and I just literally had it on in the background. I wasn't slavishly sitting, like I would with a race where I'd be like watching properly. I wasn't making notes like I would do for the cast because neither of us were planning on doing this at the time.
No,
but I was just sitting there watching it. And again, it was great. This felt to me like how Formula 1 used to feel like when I was a kid. Now, if you remember when you were a kid, an hour is like an entire day.
Yeah.
And the 8 weeks of summer holiday is, like a millennia.
It never finishes, does it?
It never ends. So this 6-hour race kind of felt like how Formula 1 races used to feel like when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way, in that great way, but there's ebbs and flows and stuff like this, and sit back and enjoy it. So that's kind of how I just kind of absorbed it, largely through osmosis of just being in the room with it.
Yeah. Same here. What I knew about the qualifying, I was keeping tabs on the qualifying over Twitter and stuff like that, and news feeds, and noticed that Alonso somehow had taken pole position. The Toyota team had taken pole position because it's not just Alonso in this team, is it?
Well, yeah, each car, and okay, I'll tell you what. Let's just pause it for just a second. I'm going to give people a very quick crash course in WEC from someone who doesn't know a huge amount about WEC.
Good man.
But basically, you have 4 categories which race at the same time on the same circuit. You have LMP 1 and 2, which stands for Le Mans Prototype. LMP 1 cars are all bespoke constructor cars, if you will. Traditionally largely through factory manufacturers, but for this year, only one factory team is in there. That's Toyota. But basically, they are the fastest, best of the best cars. Toyota run a hybrid system. Previously, when you had Porsche and Audi, you had petrol hybrids, you had diesel hybrids, or just straight diesels, and there was a lot of freedom there. Then you have LMP2, which are more like customer cars. There are stock chassis and stock engines, and you can mix and match however you want and get those together. Then there's LMGTE Pro, which is, I'm assuming from the use of the word pro, professional drivers in LMGT cars. So think your Porsche GT40s, your Aston Martin DB9s, your Porsche GTs, your Ferraris and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then you have your GT amateurs or GT AMs, which I think is the same cars, but with amateur drivers, effectively, i.e. it's not their sole job, is doing that. Each team runs 3 drivers. Each driver must do a certain number, must do at least one stint at minimum, I think more than that, but each stint has to be at least 40 minutes before you can do a driver change. That is, I think, everything you need to know there, basically. So, yeah, Toyota runs 2 cars, each car with 3 drivers, of which Alonso is racing in the 8 Toyota, having displaced, I believe, Anthony Davidson, the Fiend.
Yeah, okay. Right, so can I give you a little spec on how I was watching this?
Yes, please do.
Okay, right. Well, I I was keeping an eye on the qualifying over the news webs, etc. And it came to the day and I was like, okay, well, I wonder how I'm going to possibly keep tabs on this. And I think it was around about 20 minutes into the race and I just looked at my phone and you'd already sent me the link. And I was like, oh, okay. Checked it out.
The Spa Fairy sent you a video.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry. By the way, if this is in a court of law, yeah, it was definitely the Spa Fairy. Anyway, so I clicked on that Spa Fairy link and it took me straight there. I was like, oh, okay. So now I've got it on my phone. I was like, all right, okay. So, need to get this on a bigger screen. And I got my Amazon Fire Stick, fired that baby up, put it on the big screen in the front room. I was like, okay, I wonder how long this will last. Because sometimes when these sort of links are knocked around, then they tend to fly off, don't they? And
yes, they do.
I thought about looking for. No, actually, I think it was the Friday night. I was looking on Eurosport to find out if there was anything on there. And I think it only took me up to 9 o'clock in the morning the next day. And I kind of forgot to check the next day. And so I just went straight to this link and watched it on there. And it was perfect. Absolutely perfect. And it was just on in the background for the next 5.5/5 hours of the day. And, I drifted from it every now and again because, I'm entertaining. We got friends over and, we had other things to do as well because we can't just drop all our family and just sit there and watch 6 hours of motor racing, even though we would like to sometimes. But it was nice just to pop in and go, okay, right, well, where are we? Okay, well, we're 4 hours in and, this is going on. Okay, brilliant. And from what I saw, oh man, it was brilliant. It really was. But it's made me want to go to the Silverstone race. Definitely. Yes. That's high on the agenda.
It is. And in no way influenced us suddenly deciding to record this.
No, because we weren't talking about Silverstone at all, were we? No.
Of course not. No.
And So yeah, I've got that from it. My boy's got the bug to go there as well because he's like, well, Silverstone, love it. So why the hell not? So we're thinking about that. And one thing that did come from it though, the grandstands, although they did have lots of people in them at some points, there are also points where there were not a lot of people in them as well.
Yeah. I think the ones down the pit straights were generally full throughout.
Yep.
But some of the other ones which are dotted around were empty. And a lot of the camping grounds, which are usually full when Formula One is there, were a lot emptier, which is a shame because the weather was glorious.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I mean, it was like the best ever. But yeah, it just looked like a thoroughly great way to spend a Saturday evening, Saturday afternoon, basically. And I love every minute I was watching it. I was just thoroughly entertained. I mean, it was a very low attrition race. Considering this is a 6-hour endurance race, I think there was only 2 cars failed to finish.
Okay.
In total, near as I could tell, there was only 2 safety car periods as a result of that.
Yep.
Of those 2. Again, because Toyota's the only factory team racing, the LMP1 category is largely a foregone conclusion. But there was still some drama there. Things like the number 2, the 7 Toyota was effectively excluded from qualifying because of a paperwork error. And it was told it had to start not only from the pit lane, but a lap down from the pit lane.
Right.
Because that's something you can do when you have these long races. Things like, pit stops lasting more than a couple of minutes and everything like that are fine. Being a lap down isn't the end of the world. Whereas in Formula One, the world we're used to, if you're at the back of a grid, it's kind of game over. I found the camera angles a lot more interesting. Being able to be in the car with the driver was great. There was those great shots, and you could see Alonso at work or look over his shoulder, and you can read what was on the steering wheel. It was like boost errors and stuff like this, and see all that sort of stuff. It felt a lot more immersive. Yeah. I love how race control talked directly to the drivers as well.
Yep. Yeah,
that was very cool, and it would kind of warn you. Things like as well when they go to a full course yellow, they give them a countdown and they say we are activating full course yellow, and it counts down to it, and then it goes yellow, and the cars just all have to slow down to do that. That was interesting and different to what we're used to in Formula One. But you know what? The single biggest change to what we had here that you don't have in Formula One?
Go on.
It's the passing. And it's not just because of the different categories, which is true, but from that very nature, the cars have to be able to follow closely and to pass.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, we know in Formula One, and we know this from many a circuit, if you're in a Mercedes on certain circuits and you're behind a Force India or a Sauber, there are certain circuits where you just cannot pass. We know that, from a controversy over the way that the front wings are displacing the air and everything, and they're losing their downforce and stuff like that, though, they just can't function there. But because these cars have to close up on LMP2 cars and GT cars and get by them, that's so much less of an issue. And it also meant that, you had instances where, like, this number 7 Toyota was pulling full guns up on that number 8 one. Now, it has transpired. Team orders played a certain role in it at the end. Toyota just said, I think once they got into the last hour, basically, they're like, hold station, we don't want any things that are going on there. But still, it was points up until that point when they were doing it. And you saw the Rebellion team as well. They weren't pulling no punches. And they were tucked up right behind them. And some of the stuff in the GT race, it was amazing. There was this great bit where you had, I think it was one of
the Porsche and the Ferrari battle.
That Porsche and the Ferrari battle towards the end. With a Project Team 1 Porsche and I think it was a Dempsey Ferrari, I think it was. And it was just so entertaining watching that. Because as well as you having this fight going on between these two, you have to get out of the way for the LMP1 and the LMP2 cars. Mm-hmm. And there was this one moment where you had Alonso was coming up and it was an LMP2 car and they just kind of dived either side of the GT cars and out the other side, and you just didn't know what was going to happen, and you're like going, don't crash, my heart won't take it.
Yeah, you're 5.5, maybe 5 3/4 hours into a race of a 6-hour race, and you've got these it was the Porsche and Ferrari battling for position with the LMP1s coming behind it, and they went both sides of a slower Ferrari, didn't they? And I think the Ferrari went onto the grass at some point just to get past, and it was all very close and nip and tuck. And
it was argy-bargy. I mean, he was getting pushed. I mean, when he finally got by him, he literally pushed that Porsche off the road.
He did, but I felt that it was fair because the Porsche had pushed the Ferrari off a couple of times. He just got his elbows out and was like, well, no, you're not going to go around the outside of me, and just slowly drifted him off onto the rumble strip. And I feel in these type of cars, you can do that safely. You're not going to touch wheels and ride over wheels and possibly flip each other. And so I feel that's more of a safer way of doing it in these cars. But if it's done to you, or if you're doing it to someone, then you really haven't got any arguments if someone does it to you. And that's what I like. The elbows come out a lot. The elbows come out a lot more, at least with the GT cars. I don't think you're going to see the LMP1 or 2 cars necessarily doing that. Yeah. Because I think they are a lot more, I won't say fragile, but let's just say more delicate. There's things that could be broken. But equally so, I don't think when you have situations where like the floors being damaged or anything like that, I don't think that's going to mess up the characteristics of a car in the same way. Yeah. I think they can take a bit of a knock here and there. I really enjoyed watching the pit stops as well. Firstly, it's 2 men doing the tire. Basically, a car comes into the pit stop to be fueled. Now, they've changed the rules this year. It used to be you couldn't do tires while fuel was flowing or something like that. Okay. Now they can do. But basically, if a car comes in, a guy grounds the car with a thing and they start doing the fuel. It goes up on the hydraulic jacks, and you basically have one guy with the air gun goes around and loosens the wheel, and then the other guy puts the wheel on, and then the same guy does it. And it's like on the jacks. It's one wheel gun, and it swivels all the way around the car. You've got a guy leaps on the windscreen and is polishing the windscreen to get that all clear and everything. And then usually the other driver or someone is helping the other driver in or out, or replacing the fuel, their drinks bottle, or replacing the oil or anything like that. And it's just great seeing all these things. But then before the car leaves, everyone except the lollipop man has to be back across the white line. Did you see that? That's the thing. I was dropping in and out of it. So, I would catch bits of it, but I didn't see like a full pit stop during all what was going on. It was just really interesting watching the differences and how this is done. And, it's a different discipline. But it was great being able to sit and take it in. Yeah. Whereas, again, and I mentioned this previously on Formula One, now we're down to sub 2 seconds. It's like, you can't really go much faster than that, and I can't see anything. Yeah, I see a car comes in, is surrounded by people, and then a car goes out again. We're not going to really tell the difference between a 2 second stop and a 1.8 second stop, are we? Exactly. You just can't appreciate that. Whereas here, you do it. And the other interesting thing is when they double stack the cars, the car would have to kind of go a little bit past this pit box and then be pushed back. But I want to say there's less of that sense of urgency because they know a slow pit stop isn't necessarily going to end their race. Yeah. They know they have time to gain back that time. It's accounted for, isn't it, I feel? It is. The 7 Toyota came from a lap down to finish second, less than, what was the final gap between it and the thing? Basically less than 1.5 seconds behind. Blimey. Sorry, less than a minute and a half. But prior to that, it had been like literally less than a car length behind it. It kind of slowed down for the last lap. But yeah, it was just one of those ones where there was so much. And we still had dramas like a Ferrari got clipped by a Porsche in the pits, and it took out his front suspension. That's right, yeah. Yeah. And what you had was he stopped further down the pit lane. Then the mechanics had to run down, had to borrow an airline from another garage to get the car's jacks up, get the trolley dollies under it, push it all the way back in there, pull the bumper off, start taking apart the wishbones and everything and swapping the stuff out. And it's great seeing the mechanics actually be mechanics, not glorified, tire service guys sort of things. They're in there with wrenches and pulling this thing apart and getting it back together. It's always great when they finished like one of these pit stops. They'd wheel the car out, it would drop down, it would go up on its jacks, they pull the dollies out and then it would drop down. The driver would be in there ready to go and then he's off again. And that was just really kind of rewarding, seeing the mechanics
actually being mechanics, you know?
So what happened to that Porsche? Did they manage to get that Porsche back out in time?
I think they did. I think they got it back out again because, like I said, only 2 cars failed to finish.
Yeah.
Both were big crashes. One of them was a Ford GT, and it basically went on at La Source. So it came up the hill, went straight on into the barrier. The same place that Fittipaldi broke his legs in practice. I don't know if you saw that or heard about that.
Right.
Basically, Pietro Fittipaldi.
Oh, yes, I did. Yeah, it's his grandson, isn't it? Is it
exactly?
grandson?
Yeah. He was supposed to be racing in the Indy 500, but basically had a massive crash, power steering failure, I think it was, and broke both his legs. Very sad.
Oh,
but the same place happened for this Ford GT. Walked away from it fine.
Yeah.
And then the other one was an S&P LMP car, and that was another collision as well.
I saw them fishing one out of the barrier, so that was probably the end of that incident. But yeah, where it was just on in the background, it wasn't a case of, oh yeah, I can spare 20 minutes to watch this. But yeah, it was a case of just grab what I could at the time. But it was good because it was glorious weather over here, wasn't it? And it was kind of matching what they had over in Spa as well. So we had all like the French doors open and the TV turned around so it could go onto the decking out the back.
You had the Glastonbury set up.
Exactly. Yeah. For people that don't know and don't follow me on Facebook, etc. Normally when Glastonbury's on, we have friends around, we have the decking open, we turn the TV around so it's facing out, and we have our own little Glastonbury. It's like kind of better and cheaper than actual Glastonbury.
Yes.
And we did that. And it worked a treat. And so, don't worry, I will be watching this again. I love this.
It was fantastic. It was also because there's so many former Formula One drivers here. I mean, you had, in the V8 Toyota, you had Alonso, Sebastian Buemi, who was formerly of Toro Rosso, and Kazuki Nakajima, who I believe was with Williams.
Yep.
So, you had that. And then in the number 2, in the 7 Toyota, you had Kamui Kobayashi.
Yep.
He was going around. We had Vitaly Petrov was out there. John Eric Verne was in the LMP2 cars.
Yep.
Who, incidentally, it's Jackie Chan DC Racing. Yes, named after that Jackie Chan. He owns that too, which is awesome.
Who else do we recognise?
Giancarlo Fisichella.
Yep.
Fisichella was there, It was just like... It was all these names. Bruno Senna was racing.
Pastor Maldonado was there.
Bruno Senna's car finished 3rd, but was disqualified as well.
Right.
I think that was his plank. You were talking about planks in Formula One.
Yeah.
His plank was 1.2 millimeters too low as well.
Yeah. Mike Conway was there as well.
Yeah, Mike. He was in the 7 Toyota.
I'm just going down there. Is that Matthias Lauda? Or Matthias Lauda. Is that, I'm assuming, that's Niki Lauda. It's the son of Niki Lauda.
Oh, wow, yeah.
He was there. Pedro Lamy. God, bloody hell, that's going back a bit as well.
Yeah.
Sam
So,
Bird.
it was just all these familiar names you're hearing there that, we haven't seen in a while, which was really nice to see all that.
There's a lot of people from Formula E doing this, aren't there?
Yeah, and a lot of them are, like in the same way Alonso's doing this while he's doing his Formula One campaign, a lot of the Formula E drivers are doing this while they're doing their Formula E campaign as well, which I'm really liking. This cross-pollination is kind of getting back to the days back when, I suppose in, what was it? Stewart's days and all that sort of thing, back in the 60s, where you would race Formula One and Formula Two and everything like that. Because what's his name? Didn't Campbell die in a Formula... Who was the one who died in a Formula 2 race?
Clark,
yeah. He died in a Formula 2 race, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it is kind of nice just seeing these drivers trying it. Pastor Maldonado, he was there as well.
Yep.
But, yeah, I mean, this is the first win for Alonso in, like, a major category since 2013 in the Ferrari.
Yeah.
And it's the first time he's ever won at Spa.
Yeah. Wasn't his last race win in Valencia? Maybe not, but I'm thinking that was maybe his last race win.
2013 Spanish Grand Prix was his last Formula One, and that was Barcelona.
Oh, was it Barcelona?
Yeah.
Oh, no, he won both in that season, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he seemed it was great listening to his radio chat. It's very different to how he was when he's in Formula One as well. Less cocky almost. He wasn't there with a quick, put downs or anything like that, like we see when he's in Formula One. He was almost polite.
Well, okay, he's got no right to do that in this class just yet, though, has he?
No, absolutely. But it was just very interesting noticing that different dynamic going on there.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, there's a couple of instances where he got things wrong, because when he's coming up against slower cars and needs to lap, his instincts, might be to dive up the inside, but the GT car nearly took his nose off. And that's just, because he doesn't know that, no, just wait to around the next corner and the acceleration of that Toyota coming out of a bus stop was just criminal.
That's what I like when I watched Le Mans. And I think I said this on our Le Mans show last year.
Yeah.
Where you see the speed difference and you're watching Porsches and Ferraris and Aston Martins just herring it around. And then all of a sudden you get this LMP1 just cruise up behind them and without any effort whatsoever, just blow the doors off of them.
Oh, yeah.
And you're thinking, okay, well, these Ferraris are really towing it. And, okay, you've got this LMP and it just disappears. And I love the onboard footage of these Porsches, Ferraris, Aston Martins, whatever. And you see this LMP1 car go past them and then just disappear. And you're thinking, shit, man, that's quick.
Oh, it's in a different fucking time zone, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's with that onboard footage. It's just like when Vettel was complaining about, he couldn't see out of a windscreen, the distortion and all that. Well, there's no problems looking out of the windscreens here. The technology clearly exists to do it. So I don't know, but I just felt those onboard cameras were so much better to watch and see the drive. I mean, weirdly enough, you can see more of the drivers because in Formula One, given the high impact protections and now with the halo and everything, you can really only see kind of the top of their head.
Yeah. You
can't see the arms working and anything like that. Here, when the camera's in the cockpit with them, you can really see them at work, though, which was great. And yeah, it was a lot less claustrophobic in a strange sense,
Well, a lot of them have got the visors up as well on their helmets.
Yeah.
And so you can see the whites of their eyes. You can see them working. You can almost tell what they're thinking about sort of situations.
I tell you what, I loved whenever the LMP1 cars were coming up on the slower ones, they're flashing their headlights like they're impatient on a motorway. And then you'd sometimes see the GT cars would try it, usually after an MP2 had gone by. They'd be flashing to see if they could trick the guy into letting them by as well.
Yeah.
Towards the end of it, that was again, there's tactics there. Again, as the light kind of dipped down, it stayed pretty light throughout, but the headlights were a lot more noticeable towards the end as well.
It was getting dusky, wasn't it?
It was. I also really like the positioning lights on the side, which tells you the position of the car. Because again, I don't know any of these drivers really. I don't really know the numbers or the teams and all that. But if you see a car and it's got one light illuminated, it's first in its class.
Yeah.
And the lights are color coded as well. So it was red for LMP1, I think yellow for LMP2, blue
green for one of them as well.
One of them green, one of them was blue. Yeah. But again, you could easily follow and instantly say, okay, that's that. Cool, that makes sense. Yeah. So,
okay. So what lessons can Formula One take from this? I'm sure I asked this last year, but we're going to do it again. Tough.
Oh, no, absolutely. Well, I mean, again, this is after one episode. One thing watched kind of... I'll tell you what, if there's one lesson that it can take away from it, it's the ability to follow and pass slower cars, which may sound a bit blasé. Formula One has for years resisted the whole two-tier championship, saying they don't want to do that. Let me put this scenario to you. What if Formula 1 and 2 raced on the same circuit at the same time? And those Formula 1 cars had to be able to pass Formula 2 cars with a significant speed differential. You'd have to make allowances to disperse the way that the air is disrupted by the front wing and everything. You'd have to make allowances to allow the cars to do that. And you'd have some really good interests. I didn't see I saw one blue flag the entire race. Yeah. And okay, I wasn't watching it, vividly. I saw one blue flag the entire race. Other than that, though, they didn't need it. because the cars are able to get by the slower cars. But you still had some drama, especially when you had other races going on there as well. And it's just like, maybe I'd like to see that. Maybe I'd like to see Formula 1 and 2 on the same circuit. Maybe that's something to try.
Honestly, right, I like that idea of Formula 1 and Formula 2 on the same circuit. The problem I have is I know there's not much of a speed variable between the two. There is, and there should be, rightly so, between Formula 1 and Formula 2. But it's an open wheel contest. And if you get someone making a mistake in an open wheel contest, cars flip, cars go up in the air. And that is the only thing. With this, all the wheels are enclosed to a certain extent, and so you're very much less likely to end up sending a car up in the air when you rub. So
maybe it's a case of take a leaf out of maybe IndyCar or make it out of your thing and cover the wheels.
I think IndyCar are going back to removing that rear spoiler. I think that's what they're going to be doing next year.
Is it?
Yeah, because it's just not working. You still are getting cars riding up on it. So I like the idea, and it's something to ponder on, definitely. I would just take small bits from it, because IndyCar have got numbers on their cars on the sides indicating where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe not do the number per se, because I think that is a little cheesy. But I like what these LMP cars do, where you have the numbers, and all we need is first, second, third. All we need is podium positions. Take that with us, and you have 1 light for first, 2 lights for second, 3 lights for third. I'd love to see that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would work.
I'm down with that.
It's just taking little things and slowly implementing them at a time.
I might also, again, because double dipping, because why not? I'd reduce the number of people on pit crews.
Yeah,
I've said this before, but I'd maybe, I'd allow them 1 person per corner.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 person each corner with a gun, taking the wheels on and off, which is still a lot more than LMP and IndyCar and everything else gets.
Yeah.
But still, I think it would slow it down a little bit more. I think you'd have less pressure to do sub 2 second pit stops. I think it'd be easier for people to see the cars because there's less people around them, and less instances of them making massive mistakes like we've seen, with unsafe release and stuff like that. That being said, we still had an unsafe release here with the Ferrari colliding with a Porsche.
That's correct.
So it still happens. And this is with lollipops as well. They don't have the traffic light system here.
No, that's right.
But yeah, I think those were the 2 I would have. I would have the ability to pass slower cars, possibly by running multiple categories at the same time to force them to do it.
Yeah.
And also less people on the pit crew. And before people start saying, you're taking jobs away for people. No, I'm not. Because firstly, as we've already established, those people have got other jobs to be doing regardless. And
it's
secondly,
Simon the truck driver.
It's Simon the truck driver. Someone still has to drive a damn truck. Simon's fine.
Yeah.
He ain't going to be wanting for a job.
What about on tracks, let's say street tracks, i.e. Monaco and where we've just been, Azerbaijan, Baku.
Mm-hmm.
We have 1 person per corner.
Right.
But then at the faster tracks, i.e. Monza, where you're going for out and out speed, you have the 3 people per corner on the pit stops.
No, I kind of get what you're saying at, but I think when it comes to out and out speed, that's, for me, I want the out and out speed to be coming from the driver. I don't really. It comes down to the entertainment and the show for me. And for me, at this point now, having seen sub 2 second pit stops, I've seen it now. The only entertainment I'm getting out of pit stops is when they mess it up.
That's
I can't
correct, yeah.
see what's going on unless there's a mistake. But even then, I've seen them going out, with a 2.6 second pit stop, and then they're going, well, that was a slow stop. It was sub 3 seconds.
But well, I like the idea of, okay, Monaco, one person per corner. You've got an eye on safety there. And because it is so claustrophobic and so much is going on in them pit lanes, I think it would make sense to have one person per corner, possibly two people per corner. And then when you go to a temple of speed like Monza, then everything about that weekend is about speed and being precise and clinical, and having a one stop with people just rattling on them wheels as quickly as they can. I think it would suit the whole weekend. It kind of works in as a package.
I can definitely see the point you're making. For me, like I said, it's less about the out and out speed and more of a show, the entertainment value. And it should be said again with WEC, they still do have their eye on being as quick as they can within the scope of it. They were talking with, I think it was, what's the guy's name? Mike Conway, about some of the stuff that Toyota has. And when it leaves the pit lane, it goes on electric power and it only fires up the ICE, at the end of a pit lane. The reason being, it takes a second for the combustion engine to start before they pull away.
Right.
They can pull away instantly with the electric systems. They might stop 30 times over the course of Le Mans. It's 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It adds up. So they are still looking at it in that sense.
I think I remember them talking about it last year, saying that it's so eerily weird to have a car of that power driving past them absolutely silently.
I used to love listening to the Porsches at Le Mans because they'd come out of the corners silent on the electric power. It sounded like a milk float on steroids.
Yeah.
And then the big old engine would kick in once it got up to speed.
Yeah. And
it was off, and it was just that was great. I used to really, really love listening to that. I mean, again, it is a shame that we've lost Porsche and Audi and other manufacturers haven't come into this. I really wish they would come back into LMP1, because LMP1 cars, they're pure sex.
They are, yes, yeah.
They are. They're gorgeous.
Yeah, looking into it as well, there's only 8 races in a 18-19 season, isn't it?
Yeah, they're doing this super season, which will end basically this time next year.
Yeah,
is the end of it.
Next year's Le Mans is the final of that season.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of weird.
I mean, so the next race is in 6 weeks is Le Mans proper, and we will be covering that somehow.
Okay.
Don't know what. And Silverstone, which we might be covering, hopefully, possibly, fingers crossed. Then you got Fuji at Shanghai. Where's Sebring? I don't know where Sebring is.
It is
That's
Florida.
in Florida. Okay. And then Spa again and Le Mans. So, yeah, the Sebring race is in... I'm guessing that's going to be December time.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
But, again, because there's a lot less races, it does allow people like Alonso to race both in Formula One and here. And we've got Jenson Button will be racing in LMP2 at Le Mans. He's
also going to be at Silverstone as well, as far as I'm aware.
I believe so, yeah. I don't know if he's going to do a full season, if he can fit it around the GTE. The weird thing is, because it's 3 drivers per car, and because you have a lot of instances where drivers diving in and out, I mean, at Le Mans, they typically, like with Toyota, they'll run an extra car. Well, they used to. I don't know if they will do this time around. But, they'll like literally run an extra car just for Le Mans. Yeah. I think you get in instances where they're less obsessed with the Drivers' Championship. It's much more about the Constructors' Championship, the team position. Yeah. They want, the teams to win it and stuff like that. So, again, a little bit less selfish, I suppose, in Formula One. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but it's less about the individual, more about the team as a whole. Because you've got 3 drivers,
Yeah.
It can't be helped. I always remember last time when Mark Webber was doing it, I remember he got saddled with a stop-go penalty for something the previous Brennan Hartley did in a Porsche.
That's right, yes.
That's again, it's just a different dynamic, which is very interesting. But yeah, all in all, I really, really enjoyed watching it, and we're definitely going to follow Le Mans 24 Hour. But yeah, I mean, provided I get access to it and I can see it, I'm definitely going to try and watch as much of this super season as I can. I just found the calendar here, by the way. Le Mans is in June, Silverstone is August, Fuji is October, Shanghai is November, Sebring is March next year, Spa is May next year, and then 24-hour Le Mans again in June.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good. Well, I'm definitely going to be trying to follow this now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be reporting on all the races because it's especially with the calendar that we got this season.
Yeah,
it's way too much.
We do. But that being said, there's only really 3 races which will line up with Formula One because the rest of them will largely be in our off season.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what. If you, the listeners, all 3 of you, would like to hear more of this, let us know. You know, you can tweet us, you can Facebook us, you can email us. Where's the email, Elton?
It is box@grandprixpodcast.com.
Yeah, let us know if you want us to do more of the WC or any of the other championships. We can't promise we will because can we see them easily? Yeah. Also, other commentary team good. I can't overstate how important that is. This had a good commentary crew. It was Alan McNish, and I'm not sure who the other guy was doing it, but they were good, informative, and entertaining. I can't abide, unless they've changed it, who was doing the Formula E stuff backwards on Channel 5. It was just terrible. I don't know who's doing it now because I'm not listening to it this year. But
I think Formula E is getting better. It's taking its time, but I think in years to come it will be a lot better than what it is at the moment.
I read a really interesting article, and I'll have to dig it out for you somewhere. But basically, Formula E is what Formula One was going to become, but Bernie didn't like it, and he shot it down.
Right.
And because of that, that's why all the manufacturers are now fucked off over there, because that's where they see the future.
Yeah. They're getting in at the ground floor, should we say.
I wonder if maybe that's what Liberty will do at some point, and they'll try and combine with Formula E. And then you'll have Formula One cars and Formula E cars on the circuit at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Because that's something you get in the WEC. You get, like I said before, you had hybrid cars and petrol cars and diesel cars. And
you had that Nissan, didn't you?
You had that Nissan fully electric car. Ooh, how long before Tesla's doing one of these? Elon, are you listening? Get on it.
I don't think so because they're losing money hand over fist at the moment. You know, they are looking at maybe not seeing out 2018.
That's never stopped them before. Do it. Last hurrah. Go out winning. Well, not winning. Go out taking part in Le Mans. Yeah.
Yeah, I had one of them drive past me the other day. That's creepily quiet as well.
Yeah. But still, I could see that in Formula One maybe. Like Formula E and Formula One. And then you have like these V6 hybrids. The V6? Yeah, the V6.
Yeah.
V6 1 litre hybrids. And these fully electric EV cars going around sort of thing. That would be. If again I could borrow from your vernacular, that'd be tasty.
Oh Jesus! I've stopped saying that. Well, I think I have anyway.
You have. I use it for special occasions.
Up yours. Okay, right. Well, we enjoyed this. We are going to watch more, aren't we?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So let us know what you want to hear. If you want to hear it, let us know. Send the emails, send the tweets, etc. If you don't want to, let us know. And then when we do it, then just don't download it.
No, download it. You just don't have to listen to it. You still have to download it.
That's true. Yeah.
And you have to go and tell a friend. So tell a friend to listen to it as well.
Yeah.
So don't explain it to them. In fact, they don't even have to be a friend. On the bus, random person, just point at them and say, "You listen to this."
Yeah. Give us your phone. Download it. Give us your phone. Yeah. Let me download it on there, and then disappear. That's it. Don't say a word.
Yep. Yeah, just, and you've got to maintain eye contact the entire time while you're doing it.
But if you're arrested, we deny all knowledge of this.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Didn't happen. We didn't say it. There we go.
Yeah.
Right.
Crazy, man. Crazy.
Yeah. So thank you very much for everyone who's joined us for this rambling of two idiots talking about something they don't really know about. But
we know even less about.
Yeah, exactly. So, thank you very much, Andy, for joining me for this.
Oh, my pleasure. And thank you for agreeing to join me on this little madness.
Hey, no worries, man. And next time out, we are looking at the Spanish Grand Prix. So that's next weekend. So until then, taddy bye.
Ta-ra.